谁为爱世人愿舍身？这礼物化作活存的心灵。幸福是接受和活出这礼物的真谛，教我学习爱到痛时就如遇见主。人一生最如紧，艳阳纵使多耀眼，如若没爱，仿佛天空阻隔了光线的障幔。请洁净我心眼，长留着爱的恩泉，清澈璀璨。
喺一啲發展中國家，例如多明尼加共和國，人民嘅生活條件普遍欠佳，而處於弱勢嘅一群，生活就更加艱難。
去到之後先知道，哇！原來有咁多未婚媽媽啦。
This little girl, Martha, she was left in the feeding center. She was just left there, and no one wants her.
Thousands of pesos worth of medicine. You know, we're talking $20, $30, $40 worth of medicine for people who make $5 or $10 a day. This is too expensive for them.
聽見貧苦者嘅呼喊，有邊個願意伸出援手呢？呢一日，一班多明尼加共和國扶貧傳教之旅嘅團友嚟到一間專門服務懷孕婦女嘅中心，了解呢度嘅運作。呢度嘅服務對象年齡由12歲到40歲不等，而懷孕嘅婦女每週會嚟中心上堂，為期大概1年多，一直到 BB 出世後幾個月為止。
We have a program where we teach the girls what to do when they're pregnant. Because you can imagine 13-year-old girl, what she's gonna do. Culturally, here they have many weird ideas about the pregnancy. They think that if the mother eats eggs when they're pregnant, the baby will born with a head like an egg. That's what they think. And if they eat bananas, that will cause damage to the baby. But if you drink a little beer every day, that will clean the baby.
中心嘅負責人 Corelia 本身嚟自南美洲玻利維亞，佢同佢嘅丈夫都對意外懷孕嘅女仔深感同情。後來 Corelia 一家嚟到多明尼加共和國。一位朋友同佢提及呢間服務懷孕婦女嘅中心，對於天主呢個安排 ，Corelia 非常感激。
That was something that we had in our heart long time ago, and then we forgot about that dream, but God never forget our dreams. That's the good part.
中心每星期服務大概100名女性，當中一半係17歲以下嘅少女。佢哋嘅處境令人心酸。
Last week we received a girl. She was 16 years old, and she had HIV. 16 years old with HIV and with a baby. That's hard. So she was with a lot of depression, with a deep depression. She didn't want to leave. She wanted to kill herself. So we started counseling her to talk about God. That's ultimately our goal, to talk about God with all the girls who came here, because we don't have all the answer, but He has.
喺多明尼加共和國，墮胎係唔合法嘅。一啲女性會飲用藥物落咗個 BB， 之後再去公立醫院進行清理，但係佢哋嘅子宮就往往受到好大傷害，最終造成不育，令唔少女仔抱憾終生。為咗幫助意外懷孕嘅婦女 中心為佢哋提供驗孕測試同超聲波掃描。
We offer two free pregnancy tests, and when they come here to see if they're pregnant, immediately we start to talk with them. And we offer them an ultrasound. Someone donated us an ultrasound, a small ultrasound machine. So we learn how to, just to find the baby, hear a heartbeat. So they can hear a heartbeat and they can realize that there's a little life there growing.
喺呢間俾婦女做超聲波掃描嘅房間 ，Monique 就親身感受到 Corelia 對懷孕女性嘅耐心同關懷。
入咗去一間房裏邊咧，咁我就喺度望下，見到有一兜膠嘅 BB， 有唔同嘅size 啊，有啲係可能係咁細個，好似一個胚胎嘅形狀。及至到有一啲咧係成個咁大嘅膠 BB 已經係成咗型嘅 BB， 咁我就好好奇，就係問。
I'm actually very touched about seeing all these little babies. It's really the first time that I touch a baby of this weight, this texture. It just touches my heart.
It's a real weight. A baby by this size is a real weight, and they can realize that their babies in wombs are like this, and as you see, even if the baby is this size, has everything. You see, his fingers, nose, ears, everything, and this little tiny baby is growing here. So when the girls see these tiny babies and they can touch it, it's like to touch your baby, and they realize that they can't kill their babies.
佢話你試下抱下啦，咁我就抱住個 BB 咧，咁佢就開始去教我點樣去handle 個 BB 啊，你要去托住個頭，去等佢 close to 你個身體，等嗰個 BB 去聞到媽媽嗰陣味咧，我覺得個感覺好得意啊！
Wow, close to your body. They need to feel your body.
作為一個單身冇做媽媽嘅經驗，咁去抱住咧，我覺得好感受到嗰個生命嘅奧妙，嗰一刻好 touch 到我。咁所以我就好感動，一路抱住個 BB 咧，就已經係啲眼淚不停咁樣流落嚟嘅。
除咗令懷孕嘅女性感受到胎中生命嘅寶貴，中心亦都非常着重協助呢啲媽媽嘅生活。當地未成年少女懷孕嘅情況普遍，造成一個非常嚴重嘅問題。為咗生計，一啲少女甚至要被逼賣淫。
They start in the prostitution because they start having babies in their early age. So their parents used to say, well, you're pregnant, go to your boyfriend. I'm not going to be responsible. He needs to be responsible for you and your baby. But then their boyfriends are 17, 18 years old. They're not responsible. And then they start just to live together, and then the baby born, they have problems, they separate, and then we have a girl with a baby, with no house, where she's gonna go, and it's a problem. So that's how they start in prostitution.
好慘啊！我覺得喺北美嘅後生女咁豐裕嘅生活，樣樣嘢都有，但係呢度嘅後生女可能佢哋係為咗生活係冇得揀咯。咁我覺得係好心酸嘅。
為咗支援呢啲女仔，中心為佢哋提供食物、衣服、奶粉、尿片等等，亦提供不同嘅培訓。好似縫紉、髮型設計、烹飪，務求令佢哋有能力喺屋企開始做一啲小生意。
We teach them how to do the business, how to administrate the money, the ones who want to start the business. And we had many girls who, for example, they start to cut hair in their houses with a chair, scissors, and that's it. And now I can see that they have a small room now with a chair and with a mirror. You know, they're growing, and that's good.
Pregnancy Centre 做到嘅嘢咧，係除咗話俾你聽唔應該咁做，而佢哋同佢一齊同行咯。呢樣嘢我覺得係好緊要。即係有陣時候我哋話啊，你唔應該墮胎，或者你唔應該做呢樣，唔應該做嗰樣。但係假如冇咗同行嘅話咧，其實係對嗰啲女性嚟講係一個好唔 fair 嘅。咁所以呢個 Pregnancy Centre 做嘅嘢咧係好有意義。
面對生活上嘅艱難，一啲意外懷孕嘅女性迫不得已放棄胎中嘅性命，而一啲身體或者智力上有缺陷嘅小朋友，亦都同樣難逃避家人遺棄嘅命運。位於多明尼加共和國北部銀港嘅 Casa Nazareth 納扎勒之家，係一間住有15個孩子嘅孤兒院。呢啲孩子不分年齡、智力同身體上都有不同程度嘅殘障。部分更加要長時間坐喺輪椅，唔可以自由活動。Sister Mercedes 梅德斯修女就係一手創辦同打理呢間孤兒院嘅負責人。佢嚟自多明尼加共和國嘅首都聖多明各，本來係一位加爾默羅隱修院嘅修女，但係天主對佢原來另有計劃。10幾年前喺一個偶然嘅機會下，梅德斯修女應幾位朋友嘅邀請，暫時協助佢哋做一啲照顧特殊兒童嘅工作。就喺呢個時候，好多朋友都問梅德斯修女，點解你唔開辦一個特殊兒童之家呢？
Pero yo no. O sea, yo rotundamente me negaba a esa idea.
So she refused to that idea.
梅德斯修女當時一直渴望喺隱修院過默觀生活，所以佢非常抗拒呢個諗法。但係之後幾位同佢相熟嘅修女竟然亦都問佢有冇打算去銀港開辦一個特殊兒童之家。梅德斯修女開始認真為佢嘅前路祈禱，問天主究竟想佢做啲乜嘢。當佢同佢嘅神師談及佢內心嘅掙扎嘅時候，估唔到神師嘅一番說話俾咗佢非常清晰嘅答案。
佢話開始呢個愛嘅工作啦，如果天主想你隱修嘅話，佢係會帶你翻去加爾默羅隱修院嘅。
He never had told her what to do this, do that. But that one time he said, you should do that.
就係咁樣，梅德斯修女清楚知道天主召叫佢去照顧有特殊需要嘅兒童，但係佢非常擔心，對於點樣喺銀港一個佢完全唔熟悉嘅地方開辦孤兒院毫無頭緒。
我好擔心，我諗我點樣做呢？我乜嘢都冇，我點樣去銀港呢？我又唔識嗰度嘅人，但係我同天主講，好，我會去做。我首先諗到嘅就係要有一間屋俾嗰啲細路哥，嗰啲一無所有、冇人照顧又可憐嘅細路哥。我感覺到天主召叫我去做佢哋嘅媽媽，天主想我令呢啲無助嘅細路哥可以好快樂咁生活。
於是梅德斯修女喺醫院同街上面收留咗5個細路仔，開辦咗納扎勒之家。嗰陣時係2002年。
我哋探訪嘅時候，你見到嗰啲小朋友咧，其實個個咧都係好企理嘅，亦都有好好嘅生活嘅環境嘅喺嗰度嚟講。咁所以即係你睇得出，即係佢係好有愛心咯。咁即係最觸動我就係我睇到佢嘅信靠，即係對天主嘅信靠。佢係唔知道前面條路點行，但係就靠住天主嘅信靠咧，佢一步一步咁樣，即係將呢一個嘅孤兒院咧係令到佢哋有一個保障生活上面，令到佢哋可以有一個人俾呢啲小朋友叫做媽媽咯嚇。咁生活上係有一個即係有一個尊重，有一個尊嚴咯。
梅德斯修女唔願意為納扎勒之家設任何年齡限制，佢想孩子永遠將呢度當做自己屋企。但係要喺資源極度缺乏嘅環境下，照顧身體或者智力上有缺陷嘅孩子，需要花費好多心力，令梅德斯修女身心俱疲。
有時喺朝頭早，我真係唔想起身，我求天主幫我，因為我冇力量，我好勉強咁起身，好攰，但係天主推動我，俾我力量。
Sister Mercedes 嘅掙扎係好大嘅感受嘅，因為一方面我覺得需唔需要去呢份掙扎，但係佢知道呢一份掙扎係有意義嘅，咁所以我哋每一個人都可能會有一啲嘅掙扎，但係假如呢啲掙扎係天主想我哋做嘅嘢，我哋會掙扎開心。喺一方面我睇到 Sister Mercedes 嗰份嘅感受係好難堪嘅感受，但係另一方面我亦都睇得到佢 serve 呢班人嘅歡樂。咁呢一個就係生命。
喺多明尼加共和國，眼見好多貧苦大眾連最基本嘅生活需求都欠缺，唔少有心人願意留喺當地長時間服務。嚟自美國嘅 Rob 就係其中一位。佢同佢嘅妻子5年前開始打理當地一間診所，令低收入人士得到基本嘅醫療服務。
We see patients here for anything between cold and cancer, but most of our patients are high blood pressure and diabetic patients. They come on a monthly basis so that they can get their medicine. Each patient does pay about $1 to see the doctor, and then their medicine is free. We also see patients on a regular basis here that need wound care, and so they come regularly to get their wounds cleaned, and those are usually patients with autoimmune disorders, circulatory problems, diabetes.
當地政府開設嘅公立醫院位置偏遠，要去嗰度睇醫生並唔容易，而高昂嘅醫藥費就更加令大眾卻步。
It's hard to get in to see the doctor, but once you see the doctor, he then gives you a prescription for your medication, and they have to go buy that medicine. And a lot of them, they just can't afford to buy the medicine. Thousands of pesos worth of medicine, you know, we're talking $20, $30, $40 worth of medicine for people who make $5 or $10 a day. This is too expensive for them. In this clinic, we give people medical care because they can't afford it otherwise, and they just suffer with illnesses. If you are sick, you can't go to school, you can't go to work, you can't really live a good and abundant life. And so that's why we run this medical clinic, to help the poor and to give them hope and to let them know that they are loved by God, and just so that they can live better and abundant lives.
喺呢次扶貧傳教之旅，團友有機會去當地嘅公立醫院參觀，嗰度嘅情況同大家慣常喺北美洲見到嘅有好大分別。
What was really surprising to me is the fact that we didn't see any doctors around, and so that was something that I sort of found really surprising, is that in a place like that you would expect constant care, and clearly the standard of care is not the same that you would see in a Canadian hospital.
團友分組去到唔同病房參觀，將預先準備好嘅物資派俾病人，亦都問候佢哋，為佢哋祈禱。喺婦產科病房裏面，啱啱生完 BB 嘅媽媽都同丈夫同埋屋企人分享新生命誕生嘅喜樂。
We went to visit the pregnancy unit. We did see quite a few mothers with newborns over there, and they're all very happy, very, very excited to see their babies. But I think it was very important for me to find out from them what they took out of their experience. Did they enjoy the hospital experience? What was the standard of care for them?
而 Monique 就喺參觀婦產科病房嘅時候，有一次非常難忘嘅經歷。
我哋臨出發之前呢，我就喺酒店嗰度咧執咗少少一盒盒嘅紙巾啊，我哋用剩咗嘅口罩，同埋我哋帶多咗嘅濕紙巾。咁我就諗住或者醫院嘅工作人員係有需要，咁不如攞定去啦。咁原來呢一袋嘢咧就係交咗俾產房裏邊嘅護士。
嗰度嘅護士為咗多謝 Monique 嘅捐獻，帶咗佢去睇啱啱出世嘅 BB， 更加俾咗一個任務佢。
我就見到一個 BB 箱裏邊咧有一個好細個嘅 BB。個護士咧同我行埋咗去之後咧，佢就抱起咗個 BB， 咁就示意就等咗個 BB 喺我度，咁我就接住啦。跟住個姑娘就同個翻譯講：係啊，你將呢一個啱啱出世嘅 BB 抱去俾佢媽媽啦。咁我更加喊得犀利嘅時候係點解係我嘅？點解好似天主係用我將一個咁特別嘅 blessing 咁珍貴嘅生命，就將佢抱到去佢媽媽面前。咁就一路喊一路成咧，就抱住個眼仔碌碌嘅 BB 咧，就將佢交翻俾佢個媽媽咯。
估唔到之前喺服務懷孕婦女嘅中心 ，Monique 抱過塑膠做嘅嬰兒模型，2日之後，佢竟然有機會親手將初生嬰兒送到佢嘅媽媽手中。
嗰個感覺係好似我係一隻嗰啲大嘅雀咧，擔住個好 precious 嘅 BB， 送一個好寶貴嘅生命一份禮物去俾佢嘅媽媽，我感動到不得了。我諗我呢一生都唔會忘記。
由於缺乏資源，當地嘅醫院設備簡陋，喺同一間病房裏面，竟然住咗各種病症嘅病人。
You've got patients who are housed in quarters where you've got like 8 to 10 people all in a single ward, sometimes with different complications, whereas back home we usually separate our cases based on the different wards. And really there was not so much emphasis placed on infectious disease control.
而喺婦產科病房裏面，不幸流產嘅婦女亦都被安排同啱啱生完 BB 嘅媽媽住埋一齊，唔少團友都為佢感到難過。
Prevalent in sort of North American society, we feel that you would sort of at least be segregated from that or turned away from that aspect. You'd have your own private room. In this case, because there isn't enough space, the women are all together. So psychologically for us, we did feel a lot of pain for that woman, just because here we are bringing gifts and, there's so many smiles and beautiful little babies crying, and yet this woman is hospitalized, of course, in the maternity ward, but she isn't going to be going home with a child. And so that was something that really, shook us.
見到當地醫療系統嘅不足 ，Samaritan Foundation 撒瑪黎亞基金會正積極籌備，希望喺2-3年之內開辦一間提供40個床位嘅兒童醫院。
This hospital will take in children of every creed, every race, irregardless of finances, irregardless of status. This hospital will give us an opportunity to show the love of Jesus Christ to those who would otherwise be neglected. Because in this country, unless you have the finances, the financial capability, or some sort of an insurance, many of them will not receive the medical care of this level.
醫院將會設有2間手術室同埋妥善嘅測試設備。基金會嘅總監 John 好希望呢間完善嘅兒童醫院能夠為貧苦大眾帶嚟希望。等佢哋唔會因為缺乏經濟能力而令仔女得唔到需要嘅醫療服務。
If you have no money or very little money, you're still going to have this opportunity. Your children, it's going to go up to the age of 16. So all children from newborn to age 16 will have access to this hospital. And it's exciting because, when you see the challenges that the poor face here, being able to show them an avenue of medical care that they would never dream of ever accepting or being able to receive is fantastic.
全賴呢啲有心人喺唔同崗位服務，多明尼加共和國嘅弱勢社群得到一定程度嘅支援，但係呢啲全心服務嘅人本身亦要面對好大嘅困難。就好似梅德斯修女，佢幾乎係一個人獨力支撐住納扎勒之家嘅運作，無時無刻都喺資源極度欠缺嘅情況下照顧住殘障嘅孩子。Anna 同幾位團友舊年探訪過孤兒院之後，對梅德斯修女嘅情況非常關注，決定立即行動，為院舍添置一啲家私。
We were so moved and shocked. I mean, we're so blessed. We are at home, have 3 TVs. Sister Mercedes, the children, cousin Israel had no TVs. So And Sister Mercedes had, I mean, the bed that she slept on was very poor. So we got back to the hotel that night. We took a collection amongst ourselves. The next morning, we went to a store similar to Walmart. We were able to purchase for her a nice new mattress, and we bought a TV and some videos for the children. And that happened last year, the day before we left.
返到多倫多之後，一班教友覺得仲可以為納扎勒之家做多一啲事，佢哋決定舉辦一啲活動，喺社區籌集更多資金。教友對梅德斯修女嘅支持固然為佢打咗一支強心針，但係納扎勒之家而家正面對更大嘅考驗。院舍現時嘅物業係租用㗎，但係業主想賣咗間屋，喺大門外面掛上出售物業嘅牌。
業主要賣咗呢笪地方，但係我相信喺我哋未揾到新地方之前，天主係唔會要我哋離開呢度嘅。
visit 完之後，每一晚咧，每一刻我都會諗住呢個孤兒院，諗住 Sister Mercedes，因為佢臨走，佢攬住我好緊，佢話你要 pray for 我咁樣。
呢次多明尼加共和國扶貧傳教之旅，雖然只有短短1星期，團友唔單止睇到好多窮人嘅苦況，亦都睇到連支援貧苦大眾嘅團體本身亦都面對好大嘅困難。喺為佢哋祈禱獻上祝福嘅同時，我哋或者應該反思一下自己能夠做啲乜嘢呢？耶穌講過要愛你嘅近人。我哋未必有時間去遠方探訪有需要嘅人，但係只要多啲留心我哋身邊嘅人同事，多啲放開自己，扶貧傳教嘅機會或者喺度等緊你呢。
呢啲唔習慣做體力勞動工作嘅人，點解願意喺炎熱天氣下邊搬磚、擔泥、油牆呢？
This structure is going to be a home for a family who really, really needs it, and that makes it all the more worth it.
知道原來佢哋有一個可以比而家更舒適嘅居住環境，流咗幾日汗，其實真係唔算得係啲乜嘢。
為咗提供一個安樂窩俾貧苦大眾，呢啲扶貧傳教之旅嘅參加者願意犧牲啲乜嘢呢？愛常傳帶大家去到多明尼加共和國睇下。
睇完呢一集愛常傳，歡迎大家打我哋嘅熱線電話嚟分享一下你嘅感受或者故事，同時亦請收聽我哋逢星期六嘅電台節目愛生命。要購買天主教書籍同信仰靈修禮品，請嚟我哋嘅生命恩泉書社參觀選購。我哋下星期同樣時間再見，天主保佑。